Yes. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this meeting of the Events Committee on Tuesday, the 21st of January. We have apologies from Councillor Lord, Councillor Thomas, and Councillor Thomas. Is there any other declarations of interest from any of the items on the agenda this evening from anybody? Thank you very much. Can I have a proposer and a seconder for the minutes of the last meeting? Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Alice. Is there anybody here from the public forum? No, there's no one here. So let's move on to item 6, which is co-option. There is a proposal for David to be co-opted onto the events committee, and we have a seconder from Councillor Patricia Hannahwood, and obviously from, thank you, Councillor Robinson as well.
Sorry, who were proposing for David?
Patricia and then Ian.
Super, thank you.
Alice?
Can I just say that there are already 3 members of the Waterside Neighbourhood Action Group on this committee, and I don't want it to be overloaded with Waterside Action Group members, because that might not look right. And I was just wondering whether we ought to approach the new bid manager, which is Lisa Durkin.
Yeah, that's a very good idea, Alice, because obviously we have had some members who are not, well, they've resigned from the committee over the festive period. And
Who's resigned?
Craig Edwards has resigned from the committee, and also, is it Haley?
Yeah, Haley from the Citadel.
Haley from Colne Citadel, they've decided to leave the committee for various reasons.
So it might be a good idea to ask some shopkeepers or market traders.
I think it would be nice, obviously, to extend an invitation, obviously, to the new bid manager. Hopefully, we'll be able to get a bit more cooperation, build some new bridges, obviously, with the incoming new bid manager. So,
how many co-opted members
now it's
allowed?
How many are allowed?
I don't know how many were allowed.
No, I don't know. There is a limit on it. So we've got.
There is.
Yeah, because we've got Michael, we've now got David, and we've now we're sending the invite obviously to.
Well, we haven't got David yet.
Well, just for numbers purposes, I'm just obviously counting for numbers.
Yeah.
So then, if we then extend the invite obviously to the new bid manager as well, then that's.
Yeah, we may have to wait a while because I'm under the impression no one's been taken on yet.
Yeah, we've got this lady called Lisa Durkin.
She was before,
was she?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So
okay.
I'm under the impression they've not recruited yet.
So
okay
once the bid then recruits a manager, we can then obviously extend the invitation out to them.
Yeah.
Which I think it'd be a good idea from our half, obviously, to have somebody from the bid, obviously, onto our committee as well, so then we can work with them.
Yeah, I just feel that we ought to be able to sort of have people that are from the town traders, because we do have issues with the town traders, and I think if we all try to join together a little bit more, then I think that would be quite good. And also the bid, they organise events, and sometimes I think we're just working against each other. So I feel that is where we should be looking for our.
Of course, if we can't get obviously the bid to come on this committee, if you find someone obviously who'd represent the traders who'd want to come and
that's fine.
Welcome to accept any proposals in future for anyone who wants to represent the traders to come to the meeting, obviously, to represent their voice. I'm more than happy to consider that. So we've got a proposal and a seconder for David. Can we have a show of hands? Was it 2? And all those against David being co-opted onto the committee? Well, all right. Welcome aboard, David. Thank you. Moving on to like feedback, obviously from the Christmas lights. Which one, Nathan?
So we'll just bring up the video from the event like we do every time, and then we can just have a quick chat over the event.
Thank you very much for that, Nathan. It looked fantastic. I know we received a lot of positive feedback, obviously regarding the event as usual. The only like negative things like we've really heard of really coming back was obviously about the Christmas tree, which wasn't something that was down to the council. It was the bid. Normally, obviously, they provide a Christmas tree for the town, and obviously they had issues last year, so it meant that we didn't have a tree. However, a resident, Michael Eyre, has obviously came to the council full council meeting last week with a proposal, obviously to have a permanent tree, obviously outside the library, which it is a very good proposal. It's a sustainable proposal, which means obviously we won't need to obviously keep obviously taking down and replacing a tree every single year. We're having like a permanent tree there. I know there are trees there at the moment outside the library, and it is LCC's land outside the front of the library, so there's obviously obstacles there. But it's not something that we are, unfortunately, is not something that we're able to vote on here at the meeting. But I do invite, obviously, Michael to attend the FES committee with his proposal, and I understand that Gina is going to be there, obviously, with some other proposals as well, so where we can come to a solution where we won't have a Christmas tree in town going forward. But is there any other feedback anyone would like to give Nathan, obviously, in regards to the Christmas event? Has anyone got any questions about? We'll go with Alice, David, Ian, Alice, David, and then Ian. Thank you.
Mary Thomas asked me to bring some ideas and concerns really about the lantern parade. we all know which officer next year is in charge of the parade? Because we were waiting for quite a long time and not really knowing what was going on this year. I think that there was a problem up at this stage, which meant that people couldn't come down to the site where we were giving it. Well, we weren't giving out anything because we didn't have anything to give out. The van came quite late, and it was a little bit chaotic because everything was being taken from the back of the van, and there wasn't any crowd control. The people in the van, they wouldn't let us take boxes out so we could give out the glow sticks to other people. I did. I took out a box because it was that people were being difficult with all the number of people there, and little children were starting to be pushed out the way. So I think we need to have a gazebo set up by 4:30 so that it's ready to go. Actually, what time does it start?
Parade sets off around about 5:30.
5:30. So I think that if it could be set up at least 45 minutes before it's due to go, then people can have their glow sticks. It's not the crush, and that would be beneficial. There was a lot of embers coming from the torches this year. I ran up and down to see whether there was any of the security people that were in the procession, and I couldn't see any of them. They were either at the start where the torches were being handed out, or they were at the top. That's where I saw them. I didn't see anybody walking by the procession. So if we can have the security or whoever it is visible, that would be useful. So there's, I don't particularly like that parade item, and I did feel it was quite dangerous, and so did Councillor Thomas.
Not last year, year before, we put tables out, and we had it where it was quite well organised. Last year we had an incident in the town centre where we needed emergency services, so I was dealing with that because normally I would be down there. So unfortunately, at the time that took priority. But next year we'll make sure that it's not just down to me to be down there if something could happen up there.
Yeah.
We'll spread it across the team and make sure that someone's there 4:45, ready to put some tables out as soon as the road closes at 5, and then it's all ready. Start handing glow sticks, torches out from 5:15 onwards. The security were spread out throughout the parade. There was lighting the torches, but then when the parade set off, the security were spread between the parade before it set off. But we'll make note, and when it comes to it back end of this year, we'll make sure that the committee know exactly plan A, who will be there, but plan B as well, just in case anything occurs.
And I know we talked about using up the torches because we had them in the cupboard. Have we still got them in the cupboard, or?
We have got some, but not many. I'd need to count up exactly how many we've got, because last year you said you was happy with the parade, and we all agreed to buy more, so we did top up what we had. We have still got some left, but I'll have to count up how many we've got.
Yeah, I'm not happy particularly with the parade, because obviously there was an incident up in town, and I know that it was a serious incident, but we're dealing with at least 100, if not more, people with flames down at the bottom, and we have to think about safety in both places, and it was the embers as well that were flying about, that were, in my opinion, quite dangerous. And as I said, I didn't see the security in between. So maybe we need more. How many were there?
There was 6 members of security plus supervisor.
Yeah, I saw 3 when we got to the top, and I'm assuming the others were at the other end. But when I was walking up and down, I didn't see them. Okay, so we might need to bring, if we can bring that item closer to the Christmas event, that would be good.
Thank you, Councillor Mann. We certainly will revisit that at a meeting closer to the Christmas event, so we can avoid any accidents, of course, because our health and safety obviously is our #1 priority with our events. David was next one.
Nathan, town council, and all the businesses involved for putting on an amazing event. President Award, and there was a bit of a security issue when I left the flag near the stage. We had to pick that up and they're taking something through, they're taking the ballots, and a lightsaber lit up, and they thought it was a device in the bag. So Gina, they said, "Let go all day." It was an accident, and we need to learn from that.
Thank you for that, David. We don't want to obviously cause any security issues in our events, but thank you very much for the positive feedback, David. Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Chair. With the parade itself, I was concerned at the beginning of the evening with the wind conditions. As it was, in my own experience, it was not dangerous with the wind conditions. You could say it was close to borderline, but it was still safe. Also, I would say that it's okay having paid security, but if more town councillors volunteered to put a high vis on and join in one of the parades as stewards, I think it'd be even better. It wouldn't, that way it won't cost us any extra. And I think as town councillors, I think we need to be showing the high vis vest on these events, that we don't just turn up at meetings every so often and it's straight to the woodwork. The other, 1 or 2 people were saying that instead of starting outside the Crown, because you've got this rolling road closure, it's to actually start the parade just above Queen Street. That way, traffic can then still go up the main road and then down Queen Street to divert. It'd be a lot better that way. I don't think that's feasible. Because you're only talking maybe 50, 60 metres or so difference in the start point, but it could make a big difference.
I think where we have the road closure at the Crown, you can either turn left down Guy Sachs to go that side of town, or you can go down Bridge Street to go the other way around town. I mean, we can have a chat with the traffic management team and see what their opinion is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll have a chat.
It would be a lot easier, because it's okay going down that Guy side, be going around side streets and all sorts, whereas down Queen Street it's straight down. So it might be better. But otherwise, yeah, I think safety wise, no, there was no issues. From a professional point of view, there was no issues on safety. It just appeared to be unsafe. In reality, it wasn't.
Thank you very much, Councillor Robinson. Patricia.
Thank you, Chair. The only problem I've got with I was there. I wasn't there during the parade, obviously, because my full-time job. But I was there during the daytime, and my only concern is the narrowness of this, because you've got I know you've got to have your gazebos for your traders and your events and that, but people pushing through with prams or wheelchairs, people on sticks like myself, young children, up and down the middle of the road. It's a bottleneck, and people were getting hurt because the wheelchairs were getting pushed over feet, pushchairs were getting pushed over feet, jostling, trying to get into the stalls, trying to get to, especially for looking at the birds of prey, the face painting, and some of the food stalls and that. I know you had the food stalls most of the food stalls in the car park, but you still had one or two on the front where they were trying to muscle in. And because of the queues and people trying to navigate from the donkey rides down to the fairground and the what was it, the booking, the rodeo reindeer and the stage, they were actually getting very claustrophobic. There's a lot of people who are in chairs feel very crowded because nobody looks at a wheelchair, nobody looks at a pram. All they see is the person who's pushing it. They don't see what's in front of them, and that is a big point. And that person in the wheelchair can be very overwhelmed. And if they've got a nervous disposition, like some people do have, and they're self-conscious because they're in a wheelchair, it can be very dangerous to them. So maybe I know we've got to have our stalls as they are, but it's just the sheer amount of people we have. It does cause some problems, and that's the only complaint I've got. Otherwise, great event.
What we could do with the stalls is instead of having the gazebos 10 at one side, 10 at the other, you could have, I don't know, 4 gap, 4. So then you've got your exit. So if it is getting a little bit overcrowded in the middle, you've got ways of getting out. What we've also decided with the stalls for this year is where we had the traditional market stalls I think there were 16 together, have it in 2 banks. So you'll have the gazebos, a bank of say 8 traditional market stalls, a gap, and then another bank of 8 traditional market stalls, just to give you that little bit more space for people getting around the stalls, browsing. So we'll make note of that, make those changes.
Thank you very much for that, Nathan. I was just reminded of a bit of feedback as well. I know we received some from the traders, obviously, because they were happy with an email that was sent out with some of them weren't. If any of our listeners wondered if you could obviously address that complaint.
Yeah, so there were a couple of concerns from traders regarding the trading times. And it was ultimately down to some traders not reading the trader guidance, which gets sent out with every event. They thought it was a generic document where it changes depending on the event, location, road closures, parking, all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, when we spoke to the traders, 98% of the traders were really happy, had a fantastic day, booked on again for this year. There were 1 or 2 that weren't happy that they had to pack up at 4 when the event didn't finish till 7, which we explained that from 4 till 7, your footfall goes down for the procession, and then when they come back up, they come in for the parade, and it allowed our team time to pull down the market stalls so that when everyone's coming back for the parade, there's room for people to get through, because obviously they're coming in crowds, and most people were happy. And we've said we'll look at it for this year, making it so the market can run till 7 o'clock. So we're just looking at a couple of different ideas to make sure that traders are happy and it's done safely as well. But there were only 1 or 2 concerns, really.
Thank you very much for that explanation, Nathan. Thank you. So Alice has got.
Sorry, I've got another comment that I need to bring. Are there any restrictions on what people can sell? For instance, the glow sticks. I got this comment that the fair had just got the monopoly on the glow sticks and nobody else could sell them. I don't know whether it's true, but if you can just let me know.
Yeah, so the fairground provider that we usually have got a contract with them, and in that contract it states that they've got exclusivity to sell light up toys. So we're told traders back in May and back in June, just to let you know, we can't have traders selling light up toys because it comes from most of the time it comes from your fairground, which I'm sure Mick will agree. It tends to be a fairground thing, light up toys, and because it's in their contract, we have to obey the contract that's in place. Obviously, when the contract's back up in January 2026, if the events committee want to review it, then obviously the option's there. But we have got a contract in place.
Oh, I see. I didn't realise that it was on a contract.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So 2026, and then local traders will be able to sell light up toys if we decide on that.
We can review it. Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely.
Thank you. Obviously, Councillor Robinson.
I would have thought that glow sticks are not considered light up toys, as it's actually a means of illumination. It's otherwise you're saying that you can't sell torches because somebody could use that as a toy. You can't, spotlights. You can't, So I think that glow sticks are exempt, should be exempt from that.
I don't think Alice meant glow sticks. I think she meant light up swords, light up spinning toys.
Yes, because our glow sticks are obviously free, so there'd be no point in buying any of those. Yeah.
Thank you very much. On to our first event of this year, Easter in Cole. Nathan, thank
So we've been busy away in the office getting stuff in place for this year's Easter event. So the first aid's booked, the waste management's been booked with Pendle Borough Council. With the uncertainty of the market, whether it's going to be open or not, we've asked different people and we keep getting different dates, months of when it's going to be open. We've decided to close the road again for this year's Easter event. Obviously, it was really busy last year, and obviously safety comes first. So the road closure has been put in place. Portable toilets have been ordered, and then we've got a variety of entertainment taking place. We've got face painting, Easter egg hunt, live music, climbing wall, bungee run, total wipeout, inflatable activity, funfair rides, craft activities. We've got dance performances. We've got giant games area, so it's like your Giant Connect 4, Giant Jenga, loads of different giant games that kids can have a go at. Donkey rides, we've got Stilt Walker books, and then we've got Bluey and Bingo make an appearance, which I'm sure will be fun. The event sold out for market traders, so it sold out first week in January. So we've got over 40 traders, which is bringing in approximately £1,700 towards the cost of the event. We've also got sponsors for the event, BRSK and Farmhouse Biscuits are sponsoring the event again. And obviously the Town Council will be doing the Town Council bar to bring in some more money towards the cost of the event. But that's pretty much it for the event that's coming up on the 19th of April.
Thank you very much for that, Nathan. Could I just ask as well, could we get some more brown recycling bins dotted around, obviously, because we want to obviously encourage more people to recycle, get our events a bit more greener, rather than just like all getting slung in, obviously, the grey bins or obviously the standard bins that we've got around town. So we can look at, so we are like recycling a bit more.
We've actually got 5 general waste and 5 brown wheelie bins in the unit that we've just ordered some stickers for, so that anyone that's coming to the event that's not from Pendle, know what can go in that bin. So we're just waiting for those stickers to arrive, and then they'll be stickered up ready for the first event, and we'll have a general waste and a recycling bin paired together. Like I say, we've got 5 of each. We'll have 5 spread out throughout the event area, as well as 2 giant general waste bins from Pendle as well.
Thank you very much for that. Has anyone got any questions on?
I was just wondering, do we have any way of using the bus station, that large space? Because I know the bid often uses it, and I'm just thinking about your comment and just spreading things out a little bit. So have we thought about that?
I'm pretty sure it's been to the events committee before about using the bus station. The only problem you've got is it's out of the way, taking all the footfall away from the businesses on the high street. And if you're walking down through the high street, you're not going to see what's on down there because there's a big 6-7 foot wall between Parliament Street car park and the bus station, and the space you've got isn't actually that big. And the bus company do not like it when you take the bus station from them. Hence why we've put the road closure in for Easter. We've not put it in for Halloween because we're hoping that the market's open and we can then reutilise Parliament Street car park fully once the market's reopened. So I'm pretty sure it has been discussed before about using the bus station. We found it
Didn't work.
It wouldn't work for our events.
I know that there's still comments about where the stalls are placed. For instance, the bookies, you could see their frontage. It was just there. You could just go into that without any problems. And all the little independent stores, you couldn't see. And they're still complaining that because other people from different areas come into the town, the local shops don't get as much trade. I was just wondering, another thing, what about putting the stalls in the centre? Just one stall rather than back to back, and not on each side. I'm just thinking about different layouts.
We looked at that last year about having the gazebos in the middle of the road,
Yeah.
but then you've got the problem of which way do they trade? Do they trade towards
I
Tesco
thought
side or would they trade?
perhaps 6 one way, a little space, and then 6 the other. So I don't know whether that would flow.
We could
but-
have a look. I think the only problem we've got with that is in the narrower section of the road, you wouldn't have enough space between the curb and the gazebo.
Yeah, we'd have to look at
You'd
it.
have a big trip hazard.
Yeah,
And I'm pretty sure that's why we didn't do it last time.
Mm.
But if you've got a list of the local businesses that aren't happy, we can then rejig the plan slightly.
yeah. I think we just need to just rejig. I think the pub, the Red Lion, had difficulties as well.
There was a complaint we got was, could we be a bit more sensitive where we put the blocks of gazebos? For instance, you had sort of traders were in front of the food ones, but the bookies was empty, and they were saying, well, could we not just think a bit where these blocks are going as to whose shop fronts you're covering up?
Yeah, I think like we've obviously mentioned, putting them in blocks of
Yeah.
4 or 5.
Mm.
I think every event we'd have to change where the blocks are. Otherwise, it'll be a case where you're blocking their shop but not mine. We'd have to change it up every event because the only way of making it so everyone's clear is by not putting a market there.
It was more the ones that were selling food who were already competing with the food traders.
Yeah.
And the front of our shop has been covered up. That was more or less. Whereas, and I agree about the bus station, because when we've been there, that there is a degree of separation that you do feel. It is sort of at arm's length, and it won't quite feel to be part of the same.
Thank you very much for that one, Michael. Plus, we don't know whether that bus station is going to be there for the foreseeable future. So to say we could use it, it might be something completely different in like 6 to 8 months' time, even a year's time. Could be something completely different. With obviously what LCC are doing, obviously they're conducting a review, obviously of the roads in the surrounding area or within the town centre, so that could something completely different. So, but personally, I did like the layout that you had at Christmas. Obviously, it was all nicely spaced out. Obviously, that little food court area that we had in front of the market on Parliament Street car park, I think that went down really well because it didn't really detract from any of the other food businesses that we had out there. I know that obviously the Fun Fair, they had their own burger van, didn't they? Burger van. Yeah, that was on near the Super Sub, but not really we can do about that unless they move that closer to like where that gym is. I don't know what it is, but that's their setup, isn't it? That's where they have their layout, isn't it?
Yeah, that's how it's been before I started. I mean, obviously we are open to options, looking at different stuff, what works for the local businesses that are here all year round and what works logistically for an event. So we can look at where we put the food vendors, if we could utilise the food court again, or we could spread them out so you've got one at the start of the market, one at the opposite side halfway down, one at the end, so they spread out so you haven't got food vendors outside other food establishments in the town. So a couple of different stuff we can look at to obviously make sure everyone, as many people as possible are happy.
Brilliant. This one's a new one for us. Item 9, obviously the Cone Gala. I know Patricia does want to have a suggestion on this one, so I'll just let Nathan explain what's there, and then I'll hand over to Patricia.
So we've again been busy away in the office looking at different bits of entertainment for the Gala Field. So the fairground will be done through our good friend Mick, who's obviously done the fairground for the past number of years. So we've got a contract in place for that, which is due to be signed this week, next week, sometime when Gina's available. She has to witness the signing of the contract. We've got the waste management booked. We've got the stage booked. Portable toilets have been booked. The traffic management for the procession has been booked, and the first aid has been booked as well. We've got a variety of bits of entertainment taking place. We've got face painting, donkey ride, Punch and Judy, comedy magic, balloon modelling, crazy golf, hungry hippos, inflatable game, rodeo sheep. We've got a drumming workshop from Rainbow Drumming Circle, which they're also going to lead the procession. Caving trailer experience, and then we've got 10 different Disney princesses taking part in the procession. They'll also do meet and greets up on the Gala Field, which we'll have a schedule for, and they're also going to do a little bit of a stage show at the end. We've got on the stage, we've got live music, dance performances, and children's entertainer as well. Scoop, the guy we had at Halloween last year, it went down really, really well. And obviously the fairground Mick's working on behind the scenes to have some brilliant rides again this year. The event, we've got 26 stalls booked on so far. We've got a couple of stalls left, and that's bringing in around about £1,200. And then we'll put our bar on again to bring in as much money as we can to help towards the cost of the event. And EFS Global have agreed to sponsor the event as well, which will be great. We've got our videographer booked as well to capture the procession and all the entertainment taking place on the field. And then the finale on the field will be the stunt team. So we've got Dangerous Steve. He'll be performing in the arena, which he does various bits of stunts. He'll do 2 half-an-hour slots throughout the day. But we're now just working on the procession in the office now. So we're talking to community groups, schools, nurseries, just to get as many people as we can involved. The idea that we have is have people on foot walking in the procession, as well as utilising floats from Matthew Kibble, but spread it out so you haven't just got wagon after wagon. You'll have people walking led by the drumming group, wagon or float, people walking, float, people walking, float, and we're encouraging the community groups and the schools to design banners and flags and anything they can, just get everyone involved. So we're working on everything behind the scenes, but we're almost there.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Robertson knows what I'm going to say, because he was there when I was organising it with the Cone Veterans. This year is the 80th anniversary of victory over Europe and victory over Japan. And as luck would have it, the gala is smack in the middle of these two enormous events that happened 80 years ago. So I'm asking that not all the gala, but some part of the gala be put over towards the celebrations. Now, I've asked a group of Cone Veterans if they would be interested in taking part. I'm waiting for. I will be getting more information from the group over the next couple of months. What I'm looking at trying to get some former service vehicles. There's a chap who lives just around the corner from me in Nelson. He's got an absolute humdinger of a people carrier from 1947. And if I can get him to bring that up. And then, of course, last year we had I think it was the local ambulance brigade Green Goddess.
It were a fire engine.
No, it was the actual. You had the Green Goddess further up, but I'm talking about the one that I was walking alongside was actually the Air Force. It was the Air Force ambulance.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that they will come back again, and if we can get our some of our people, and I'm hoping that they are going to at least have the headdress on, if not some of the uniform, walking down and trying to encourage, say, the ATC and the Sea Cadets and the Army Cadets to join in with us, which I'll liaise with yourself, your good self, Nathan, to try and organise so that we've got a good commemoration for all the people, because we need to celebrate the people here in Cone who paid the ultimate sacrifice during those harrowing years, 39 to 45. We do not want to forget them. And this year, with it being the 80th anniversary of the cessation of hostilities, would be a good way of reminding them what we fought for. Thank you, Chair.
I think that's a fantastic idea as well. And also, we always think when we're talking of the wars, we always concentrate on the armed forces. What we forget a lot of times is in this country, the scouts play such a vital role, passing messages, air raid precaution, etc., and a lot were killed during the raids, etc. And the St. John's Ambulance Brigade. Yeah, in fact, I built. Sadly, in Pendle, we tend to forget about this. We used to have something called, I think it was called Rohena Day in Barnoldswick every year. They've stopped that, which is sad. Rohena Day celebrates a ship that was sank with a lot of lives lost, and a lot of those lives were St. John's Ambulance Brigade volunteers from this local area. So bringing these uniformed organisations in St. John's Scouts, Guides, etc., I think is also remembering that it wasn't just the soldiers that sacrificed their lives. It was young people, civilians, who gave their lives because they loved their country. And I think that's important.
It's definitely something we can look at. And obviously we could have a section of the procession that's down for VE Day and get as many groups involved as we can. Get some ex-military vehicles involved as well. That'd be fantastic. Just looking at the agenda item, it was agreed at the last meeting that we would have the Colne Community Champion Awards as part of the Colne Gala event on the stage. So we've allocated a 20-minute slot for that. So if over the next couple of weeks you could send over some suggestions for categories, we can then look at putting something together so that people can send nominations in for the Colne Community Champion Awards that will do part of the event. Another thing for the gala that we need to consider, which it's not mentioned in the agenda item because I was only made aware of it yesterday, is the crowning of the gala princess, queen, king, whatever. I was talking to a lady who's been involved with the process of judging the gala princess, and she said every year the number of people getting involved has just dropped. So it's whether the events committee want to put a gala princess on. The things we need to consider is to go to 3 or 4 other galas. They need to have a fancy vehicle to go in. And over the years, you've had 1, maybe 2 people come forward to be the gala princess. You won't get a gala queen because everyone's too cool to dress up like a queen for the day. But it's just something we need to consider because there's a lot of time, money, and effort that will go into that process. And the lady I was speaking to said she wouldn't bother after doing it for 15 years.
Cool, Alice, Patricia, and then Mike.
Yes, the son of an ex-prisoner of war. I take nothing away from what you've said, and I agree. We should remember it. But the Colne Gala is a celebration of Colne, and I wouldn't like to think it starts to look like a military parade or another version of Remembrance Sunday, because we will have a big celebration of that and a remembrance of that in November. So yes, part of it, yes, as long as it didn't sort of overshadow. That's. I don't want it to look like a military parade. That's all I was.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to talk about the princesses. Could we send a letter to the school councils and see whether they could promote it amongst the schools? Because I think we're talking about 10-year-olds, are we? Yeah, yeah. So I know we've got junior school councils. So it might be something that we could just write to them and see if it can be developed through them.
You're right, and it could be an item on obviously the Colne Junior Council as well for them to.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's aimed at children their ages, and
they could perhaps vote.
Exactly, and to get like obviously their
Yeah.
opinion on.
And it could be one from each school, maybe.
Yeah, see like one proposal and then like one vote overall. That could be a great idea. Oh, so Michael, we'll go to Michael.
To what Nathan was saying about the princess and stuff, because it's changed with the king now, you've got to pick a king. Now, I go back a long way with galas and carnivals, and it's an old bylaw where for years we've picked a queen, a princess, to go with the queen, which goes way back. Now, because of the king, now you've got to pick a king as well as not forget the queen. So you've got to have a king and a princess, or else you're dividing it, it brings up issues. So you've got to go. If you look into princess and kings of the galas over the last 120 years, that's how it has been with different towns like Burnley, Accrington, Tomerding, Skipton, and stuff. So it's an history thing. It's you're not just having a fun day; you're having a gala of that town. You're celebrating that town, and you're showing off what you've got: your princesses and your kings, your carnivals and stuff. Back to what you said before about the army. Let's not overdo it. But over the last nearly 40 years I've been doing it, we have had the army, we have had the navy, we have had the police force, we have had the fire brigade, we have had all them cutbacks. We used to have a nice little team of cadets and others, where they brought a climbing frame, the navy, and they had their own little dues. But because of the insurance system now, a lot of these army people can't. Same with the goddess you're on about and all that, and the ambulance and stuff. It's right. There is one or two round here. They're in a group and they have old tractors, old fire engines, old trucks, old pickups, old, companies what used to be years ago, having their own vehicle with a name on the side, It's out there, but they've got to give the Saturday away, or they've got to give a couple of Saturdays away. And same with Nathan saying about Prince or King, what has to go to at least 3 to 4 other galas before and after our gala. That's the tradition. Now you've got to have a team of minimum 2 ladies to sort the dresses out, to sort the things out. Then you need a chap or not too, a decent family in respect who's got responsibilities to get the vehicle with the king and princesses, whoever it be. Now, umpteen years, we've just hired a room, asked everybody and got the word out on the internet to get people in to vote for who they want to be the princess and stuff. And like Nathan said, we've struggled the last few years, but it's something you can't overlook. Some people say, well, it's hard work, we're not doing it. But to keep the tradition going, you have these things to do. If you want it to be a proper carnival gala day of this town, we've got to keep it going. It's as simple as that, but you need volunteers. Who's going to give the weekend away? You understand?
Yeah, of course.
It is hard work. It's not an easy challenge. We could, no offense, anybody can book stuff on a field and stuff. It's the outer, getting prepared, ready for it, and sorting it all out afterwards. And I know all about sorting muck out afterwards an event because I've had a lot of rain over the years, you know what I mean? And it's hard work. It takes it out of you. And you think, why am I doing this? But it's a thing I love. Of Colne and all the outer, like Burnley don't have carnival no more. Accrington, I think it's every couple of years. It's a challenge for a lot of people, but the newer generation aren't just for it. Like the king and princesses and stuff. There are certain elements of it that it will be good. You know what I mean? But you've got to understand what it's all about. You know what I mean? That's the bottom line. Really, that's. Hopefully we can, but it's a challenge not just for that weekend, but maybe 3 to 4 other weekends of the year, all within that May, June, July, where some of us on committees are going to have to just do what we've got to do. You know what I mean?
I agree. I think there's something that we should stick with, and as with obviously the awards, obviously make a decision, obviously on who gets that. Do it early doors, I'd say. Hopefully, do it by, I'd say, the March meeting, where we've got plenty of time. Then, obviously, between March and the event actually happening in June, and then we're all fully prepared. There was one thing I did want to ask. I know, obviously, Mick received a lot of unfair criticism last year in regards to obviously the playing fields. Obviously, it was a lot of it was out of order personally. Is there anything, was it looked into more, do you know, like a temporary road? Was that?
Plastic matting and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's all back right now. It's the that part of the council for they've signed it all off. They've signed the things back to us. Yeah, it's all right. There are little things I still got to do in the next 12 months, but I know that because you're not going to fix it in 3 to 4 months. The winter's come, we've had the snow. It's like a quagmire up there now, but that's not to do with me. It's not my fault that, but when the weather starts picking up, March, April, May, I can do a little bit more work. They're happy, but I'm not happy. I need stuff. I need it right. You know, I need to, no matter what the cost is to me, I need to put it right. It's something, it's on back of my head, like, find it. I mean, it was a mess when I got the field. It weren't perfect. And I've done the best I can, but it just needs a little bit more leveling up. It needs it. And some people in corner of places and things, they're not, oh yeah, it looks green, it's all right, but it's not all right, you know what I mean? So I don't want anybody to say in 2 years or 5 years time, oh, you made a right mess, you never put it right. I did put it right, I put it better. I've got videos before, in between, and afterwards. And last year I didn't like the afterwards. It were quite a mess. But like I say, my word's my bond, and that's it. I'll put it 100%. We've no issues with that yet. You know, even if it rains for us this year, which I hope it don't. I mean, I'm allowed an odd sunny day on that event. You know.
We have got a contingency in place, so that if the weather forecast is showing that we're going to get rain, we can pretty much flip the event. So you have the big rides on the car park, smaller rides top end of the field close to the big rides, and then all the other bits of entertainment at the other side of the field. So we have got a contingency. It is in the contract for the fairground lads to mat on and mat off, which obviously, like I say, Mick's due to sign his contract this week or next when we get round to it. But we have got a contingency to try and prevent as much damage as possible.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that one. Top one.
I was just thinking about the champion awards, and some of the award winners might be a little older than others, and they perhaps would like a little place where they could sit, and we could give them a little bit of VIP treatment. So I don't know whether we could consider that if it's pouring with rain or windy.
This was why I suggested doing it at the AGM.
I would love it actually to be there. On thinking about it, because I think it's going to be quite cold with the people that I've got in mind. To go up and sit in a field perhaps may not be the best ideas. Exactly, or even if it's really hot. You can see where I'm going from. So we might need to readdress that.
Could we use obviously the gazebos that we normally use for the cycle race? Also put that up and also use the table and chairs that we normally put out in.
The problem you've got is having the staff to do it, the cost to do it, and the time on the actual day to do it.
Yeah.
The idea of doing it as part of the event was you've got the stage, you've got your nominations on the stage, off the stage, done. Obviously, by adding in a VIP area for we'll say the older generation, we're stretching the team even further than what we already are. I mean, if we want to bring back the Colne Community Champion Awards to a future month's agenda, we can do.
I'd thinking about it. I get where you're coming from, Alison.
Nice, warm, beautiful room.
But it could also be the nice, warm, beautiful outside, though. I think it depends on like the weather. I'd like them to be acknowledged by more of the town, because you're not going to get a lot more people in it. You're going to get a lot more people at the gala. A lot more people are going to take an interest in it. They're going to be like, they're going to get more acknowledgement than they would, like, say, in here, sort of thing. So I think keeping it the
You
golf.
remember our last meeting when we invited all the community groups
Yes.
and it was pretty full. So it's just something that I've just been mulling over and thinking. I'm not entirely sure about outside, but
So, yeah, going back to the Princess and Gala King, Gala Queen. In my former years, I was I like Mike. I was involved in this. It does take a heck of a lot of work, and like Nathan has said, it's trying to get the people involved. It could take. We could ask now, like Alice has said, invite the school groups, but it depends on the parents as well. Not every parent is happy to push their kid forward to be spotlighted, and that's what it's all about. Some people, and as Nathan said, they don't want to seem uncool. They put on a satin suit for a man, or a nice flowy frock for a young lady with a plastic crown and a sash. I'm not trying to downgrade it or anything, but it's nice on the day, and especially if the two people are really into it and up for it, great. But if you've got little Johnny who's woke up that morning, he's Gala King, but he's woke up with an upset stomach, and he's on the float, and he's got a face like a wet kipper. It's not going to go down well, is it? Or little Alice. Sorry, Alice. Little Alice has stubbed her toe getting onto the float, and she's trying to make it right so that she's not, and it does all attract. It does all fun off, but it's a good idea, but it's cost. It's not just costing in cash, as Mick says. It's time, it's effort, and it's costing clothing. I'm not against it, but I'd be very cautious how we go about it.
What we could do is get Kaylee, our media and communications officer, to design something that we can send out to the schools, put across on social media, on the website, just to something where parents or people that want to come forward as a gala princess, queen, king can register their interest, and we'll make it so that you register your interest, and then we can then set a date for them to come here and be judged, and as long as we get that interest, then we can obviously move on to the judging process. If we don't get that interest, we've tried it, and if we do that straight after the Easter event, when everything's focused on the gala, we've still got time to fill that spot on stage and sort other bits out, just in case.
Because we've now got a male boy, we do need a king and queen. You understand what? We've got that boy.
So as long as we get the interest, then we can.
Michael.
Would this not be an idea to go back when to the subject of the Colne Junior Council and to push it through there to see what interest is coming back?
Yeah, I think that's what we should do. I think in regards to that, I think it's something we should send to, obviously.
We get a bit of feedback then.
Yeah, and get their feedback as well. And obviously we'll be able to decide that by, I know there'd be a meeting of the events in May. So which should just before the gala. So we should be able to tie everything up tidily, neatly before then as well. And obviously in regards to obviously the awards, we'll bring it onto the agenda in March, where then we can make a final decision there, and hopefully have some like suggestions. We'll send an email out obviously to like every councillor who's on the council for their input, obviously for their suggestions for awards that we can have, obviously, and then get that done. And if we get that decided by March, then like this, then everyone all winners decided by May, and then obviously invites we can send out in time. So thank you very much for that. And sorry, mate.
Going back to the King and the Queen and stuff, the last couple of years, if the new one, he stepped back or Johnny didn't want to get up in the morning because he felt bad, we also had to fall back on the year before's person, Queen, well, princesses and stuff. So we also had a fallback in that's the key word. But it's not just getting the child to stand up and dance around and get voted off 3 or 4 people, because that's what we did. We rented a room, we put it out on the internet, and we got maybe 5, 6, maybe 10 at sometimes, but sometimes it was only 2 or 3. So we didn't have a lot to choose from. We had to choose what were there, and that were it. Whoever made the effort that night to come or day, a Sunday afternoon it were, and that's what it were. We put a bit of a buffet on and family, it was a bit of a disaster sometimes, but it's just because people were busy. You know what I mean? But at the same time, when you're picking the child, because they are say from 2, 3 to 16-year-olds, you've got to make sure that family who that child is can give us at least 3 to 4 weekends in the summer to get the children ready to go to these other things. But it is an old bylaw, to keep, we can have a name of a fun day, fun whatever, but for the gala carnival, there's old bylaws, and it states, because the event's been running for years, a lot of events now have to pay for police. The new thing is where we don't have to pay for police because the event's been running for more than 10 years. It's an old bylaw. So all this new one, when there's a football match on, the football ground has to pay for the policing. We shouldn't, or the gala shouldn't have that, because it is still Colne Gala. That's what his name is, Colne Gala. And that, it gets away, I'm not saying it gets away with murder, but it gets away with a lot of things, the old bylaws of this country. Yeah. So, barring that, we've got to make sure the parents can do it. The dresses and stuff, we've gone to second-hand shops over the years, cut a wedding dress down, put it in a dye, a bucket, if it's a blue, or because everybody wanted to be a princess, which is the word princess. We dyed a wedding dress blue. Frozen, they all want to be like Frozen. So it's not an expensive thing, but there is some, and I mean, sometimes, because we got somebody to alter it, once we had somebody on committee who could sew, in the end we ended up going to a shop and paying £30-40 for it. We said, well, do you want to put your name on advertising? So we're not paying you to do these dresses for the princess. But the way the world is, that's how much your bill is. Thank you very much. You know what I mean? So things have changed. I expect they'll change more. But it can be sorted out. It can, but we need, we need a few ladies. We need a few on committee so to say like, we can do that. New older generation, it's just a bit sparkle. Same with other things like tug of war. We've also had tug of war, but it's getting tug of war like we used to have rugby club, police, army. When army used to come up town, which they've gone down a bit now, we always you had a set of kids, they take the fire brigade on, they take the rugby club on, they take the others on, and it's a fun. It gathers 30 to 40, 15 minutes in the afternoon, which is not really costing us because we buy a load of medals and it costs us 30, 40 pounds for a nice red and white or whatever tie around the neck with a bit of a goal. It's only plastic, it's a bit of fun, but they walk away, the kids have enjoyed it. You know what I mean? It's 30, 40 pounds. It's for nothing. But, and I've got the tug of war anyway.
Thanks very much for that, Mick. Just because I'm mindful of time, obviously, also just if there's we got
Yeah,
five
I just wanted to know, if we don't have a king, can we not have the princesses and the queen? Is that the rule? Yeah, so if we don't get the king, we can't do, yeah, right, okay,
Can't get rid of the old queen.
Yeah.
But because the king is the king now. And
Yeah.
can't compare the king.
Yeah.
It's the new generation, so we've got a king. So,
so probably we wouldn't
if
be
you only have-
doing it,
you
yeah,
only have a prince, queen, princess. Somebody's gonna kick back and say, no, the old war is.
Yeah.
The king now, so you gotta have one more.
right, okay.
If you go back, no,
Thank you very much for that, Michael. On to item 10, Nathan, about the fun day.
So family fun day. We won't be doing a Euros fan zone this year, but we've got loads of stuff booked in for the event. So the first aid's been booked, the waste management's been booked, and the portable toilets have been booked. We've got face painting, we've got climbing wall, dog agility shows, funfair rides and giant inflatables. We've got surf simulator, gladiator joist. We've got a dinosaur experience, same one that we had a couple of years back that went down brilliantly. We've got circus workshops and shows, and then we've got princess character walkabout. We've been booked, but we haven't decided on the princesses yet. On the stage, we've got live music. We're looking at having stage door, youth theatre performing, and then we've got a princess show and children's entertainer ending the day on the stage. We've got 27 stalls booked in, which is around about £1,200. We've got a couple of spots left, which I'm sure will fill up in the next couple of weeks. All the social media's being worked on as we speak. Kaylee's working on all the social media graphics, posters, schedules, all that sort of stuff over the next couple of weeks. So everything's pretty much in place for the event. We've got PCCU that have kindly agreed to sponsor the event, and McAdams have also agreed to sponsor the event again. We'll also be putting on the town council's bar, like I said, just to bring in a little bit of money towards the cost of the event. And we're now looking at seeing if anyone's willing to volunteer to steward on the day. So that'll be having someone at the entrance of the park, letting people drop off those with accessibility issues, and then direct them to the car park. And we also need a steward up on Holt House to make sure people are parking sensibly, not blocking anyone in. We'll obviously put out all the traffic management signs advising where the event parking is, like we did last year, because the feedback from the residents is it worked really well, and they're really happy that we'd listen to their concerns. And obviously we'll send out letters to the residents in the area a couple of weeks before, just to let them know that we are putting the event on again, and that the plans that we did last year will be in place again this year, just to prevent anyone parking across drives, on drives, and so on. But everything's in place, ready for the event.
Thank you very much for that one. Is there any questions for Nathan on Thank you very much. On to obviously the cycle race, which we now have a date for now on the 22nd of July.
Yep, so the British Cycling have now confirmed the 22nd of July for this year's Colne Grand Prix. So first aid's been booked, the traffic management's been booked. We're ready to submit the road closure application to LCC over the next couple of days. The additional PA has been booked, the barriers have been booked, the toilets have been booked, the commentators have been booked. And then Scott Dawson Advertising have signed the contract for marketing and PR like they have done the past couple of years. And they've honoured the same price past couple of years, so that's great. In terms of sponsors, Fort Vale have agreed to sponsor men's and women's elite race again. Coalition Facilities Management have agreed to sponsor the youth race. Hope Technology have agreed to sponsor the first aid and the banner printing. And then McAdams have also agreed to sponsor the barriers, which is great. Unfortunately, Riggs Auto Park, who have previously sponsored the Sprint for Success race, have advised they're unable to sponsor the event this year. So we are going to have to look at a new sponsor for the support race. But discussions will be had with the team up from British Cycling just to see what support we can get from them. And hopefully we can get someone on board to cover the support race. And then we've just sent letters out to local sponsors for them to have an advert in the programme and the banners on the racecourse as well. So we're slowly working away with the Grand Prix, and we'll get the rest of it booked in over the next couple of weeks.
We don't need too many programs, so we tend to go around with them, and I was giving them away a souvenir after the event.
We're taking one in each hand. One was a program, one was a souvenir.
Right, I'll make note of that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for that one, Nathan. On to Halloween. No comment.
So Halloween, obviously last year we did the Harry Potter themed event, which worked really well. Enjoyed by a lot of people and we had a lot of good feedback. So this year we've decided to do superheroes versus villains, which will be a good theme to work with. First aid's been booked, pilots have been booked. We'll have face painting, Punch and Judy, comedy magic and balloon modelling. And then we'll have 8 characters that they'll do a stage show, but then they'll also be doing workshops throughout the day. So I'm waiting to get the list of the characters, but say it's one of the superheroes that'll be paired with their villain. And like I say, we'll have different workshops throughout the town. We're looking at doing a superhero trail around the businesses, where you'll go around and see what superhero face is in that window, write it down, bring it back, and you'll get a prize. We're looking at a couple of different options of other bits of entertainment we can put on. So we've just been bouncing a couple of ideas around the office to see what everyone thinks downstairs, and then we can obviously look at costs and other bits. We've got live music booked, so Andrew Gilmore is performing. That's pretty much as far as we've got with Halloween, because we're still looking at different ideas for the entertainment. We'll put the bar on, like I say, just bring in a little bit more money towards the cost of the event. We've got Fairground Rides and EFS Global have agreed to sponsor the event as well. We've got 29 stalls booked on so far, which is around about £1,400. And we've got a couple of spots left for that event. But yeah, that's as far as we've got with Halloween.
David, I don't know.
Yeah.
Have you been able to get in touch with Stone Jupiter yet?
I've got in touch. I'm just waiting for their availability to see what they can do.
I am obviously seeing that video of me dressed with Halloween disco developer. and I'm willing to do what it takes to make Cohen's own Darth Vader. That's each year now, isn't it?
So it suits me fine, Nathan.
Yeah, fine.
There you go. You've got the job of Colin's official Darth Vader there.
And I was wondering if I could dress up as it for the full day.
I have no objections.
Me neither. So yeah, you can have your own procession. Obviously, if you. There you go. There you go, David. Is anyone else any questions regarding Halloween? Okay. On to item 13, Remembrance Sunday.
So first aid's been booked. The traffic management's been booked for the road closure. The brass band's been booked and the bagpiper. The lamppost poppies that we put up for the event, they've been sponsored this year by Coalition Facilities Management. So they're sponsoring the poppies this year. So they'll have a small sticker on the poppies that'll say kindly sponsored by Coalition, and that's just the cost of the poppies. So that's all been put in place. I was talking to Councillor Robinson last week. Obviously, the past couple of years we've had an issue with the marching track that's been used for the session. We had the idea of having the Rainbow Drumming Circle, seeing if they could put a beat together for the procession, which if the events committee is happy, I'm sure Ian can speak to his team and see what they can put together, just so we've got that continuous beat throughout the parade instead of having different tempos, beats per minute and everything else playing from the quad bike. So just see what everyone's opinion is.
Yes, Chair. At the moment, I am as I said last month, I am in the middle of organising a track, but I will bring it with you, and obviously we'll collaborate with Councillor Robinson, and we'll see what we can do between.
Yeah, I think that's obviously an excellent suggestion. Obviously, with Councillor Robinson's drumming experience and expertise, I think they'll come in handy.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, it's not going to replace a proper band, and if Patricia can get a really good sort of martial music with a good beat, and that's the key. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, I'd be quite happy to just do the drum with the beat, a couple of us, and it's quite loud. And I think it'll be a lot better than last year when everybody was marching to a different beat.
Thank you very much, Nathan.
No, nothing else, mate.
Alice?
I think last year we talked about the choir and that they hadn't been given sort of a formal invitation. And it was just that, we usually turn up, so we will. And there was nowhere where they could sit. So I just wondered whether we could really look after them a bit more.
Is that the choir or the brass band?
The choir.
Right. I'll have a chat with the parade marshal and Fiona at Pendle, because we don't book the choir.
Right.
So I'll have a chat.
Thank you very much for everyone's comments and feedback on that one. Obviously, we're circling back round. Obviously, I feel like we're back to where we started the meeting. Obviously, coming back up to this year's Christmas lights, which on there.
So we've been busy working away behind the scenes. So the first aid's been booked. The traffic management's been booked because Christmas we do have to close the road. The toilets have been booked. The stage, we've booked the same stage that we had last year, which we had a bigger stage last year, and it worked really, really well, with a screen on the back, so we can put the name of the act and adverts from sponsors on there. So that's all been booked. The stage crew's been booked, and the pit barriers have been booked. In regards to entertainment for the event, we've got a face painting booked. We've got a Christmas themed crazy golf, which is something new for this year. The rodeo reindeer and the giant snow globe will be back this year because it was very, very popular last year. We've got Grinch and Cindy Lou doing the walkabout sets, which children absolutely loved the Grinch last year. I think at the end of the day, the Grinch had about 7 or 8 onions in his bag to take home with him. And then we're going to swap the Christmas fairies for some elves. So we'll have elves running around the town centre, which will be great. We'll do a letter writing to Santa, the festive town trail, which we're just coming up with a new idea downstairs to change it from the reindeer trail to something different. We've got Punch and Judy, Comedy Magic, Balloon Modelling, and Donkey Rides booked. We'll be doing we'll be doing the Santa's Grotto downstairs in the town hall again because it was very, very popular. The queue at one point were an hour and a half, which was very long. But the way we did the grotto downstairs worked really well, and there weren't that much pressure on the staff team to set the grotto up. And we had the life-size Santa sleigh as well, which families loved. They got to go on, sit on the sleigh, have the photo. We've booked the Santa and the elves for the grotto, but we've also booked an additional elf just to walk up and down the queue and interact with people queuing, just as a nice touch. Just so people aren't stood there thinking I've been here an hour, I ain't seen anyone yet. We've not done anything for the parade yet. Obviously, we'll have discussions about that at the next meeting. But on the stage, we've got Lord Street Primary School Choir performing. We're having a chat with one of the local dance schools about performing. Barrowford Community Choir will be performing. We'll have live music from Gavin Young. Children's entertainer, live music from Sean Toms. And then we're looking at having the Greatest Showman sing along before our headline act, which has to stay confidential for now. It has been booked, contracts have been signed, and it's not a soap star. So we're looking at something a little bit bigger, a little bit different, but we know it will go down brilliantly with adults and the younger generation as well. Fireworks have been booked. The event, our casual event staff have all been made aware and given their shifts for the year, estimated shifts, should we say. We've got all the vans booked and hired, and obviously all the marketing will be done as we approach the event. The fun fair has been booked. The market, we've got 25 stalls booked on so far, which is approximately £1,700. And we've got around about 20 stalls left. That's gazebo stalls or traditional market stalls. And like I said, we're going to be looking at running the market until 7 p.m. as long as we can do it safely. So we're just looking at a couple of different options to make sure we can do that. We've got McAdams have agreed to sponsor the event. Farmhouse Biscuits have also agreed, and Coalition Facilities Management have agreed to sponsor the event as well. So we've got 3 sponsors for the event, which will go down brilliantly. Make sure we put more onto the event. One thing we did want to see what the committee's opinion was reindeers. Somebody made the suggestion of having reindeers in the town centre, because obviously we've got Santa in his grotto. So it was just see what everyone's opinion were, and then if obviously the committee's happy, we can look at booking them. So yeah, just see what everyone's opinion is.
I'd actually love us to have some real reindeers in our town. I think that'd be really good. What does everybody else seem to? Well, yeah. Any? Ian?
Thank you. That's a really good idea. I've done medicine for years. No, it's a good idea, right? Because again, it's in that theme of the of Yule as well, which obviously predates Christmas. So it's in keeping with the, say, European Yule, etc., and coming into Christmas as well. So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I think good that we do have some of those on there.
Everyone's happy for me to.
Yeah, I'm always the doomster, aren't I?
Yes.
Can we look into it more? Because I know that online there has been issues about bringing these types of animals into shows. I personally think it'd be lovely, but there's something niggling in the back of my mind about the safety, the welfare of the animal, and it being an issue with certain people. So I'd just like to hold fire on that and bring it up at the next meeting.
The company I've looked at, they do it all year round, different events all across the UK. The reindeers are looked after. They have their own pen, own shelter, and they swapped out for breaks to make sure they're not there for the 4 hours. The lady that actually suggested it said, "What's the difference between having donkeys and reindeers?"
Yes.
So hence why I thought I'd bring the question forward, because obviously it's a good suggestion. Obviously, as long as the committee's happy. The only problem we've got is they tend to book up. Come February, they book for the rest of the year. So I can bring some more information, but with them risking them not being available.
I'd rather us not risk losing them personally.
I'm not going to vote against. I
Of-
just wanted to bring up.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, animal welfare is obviously for first and foremost, really, because I don't want to like. I'm a huge animal lover personally, and I don't really want to see like, any animals obviously mistreated or harmed. And if Nathan's looked into it, I trust Nathan's judgment obviously on this one. We can obviously put it to a vote, obviously amongst the committee. If obviously Patricia, Michael, they've want to.
Thank you, Chair. If my memory serves me right, Nelson actually had them in 19, and it went down a storm. So we've got what and the thing is, we have a bigger turnout than what Nelson do. It would go down an absolute storm. We would be inundated. They are good.
Just to add, it's the same company that Nelson used.
I saw them at Skipton at Christmas, and there were 3 to 4 people looking after them. And exactly what you said, they're not just saying it, but I was there all day, and they did take them away round the corner. They had a little trail, and they put them in there, but they were redoing straw and everything all day long. Now, because how they advertise themselves, and they're in the show book as well, they've got to have certain rules, and that's health and safety with animals and the safety of animals. So if it's advertised as what Nathan would have got it through the internet or whatever, they're more looked after than a normal donkey and a reindeer on top of Colne or anywhere else within this area. So if you're using a proper firm, they'll have all the paperwork for them, and the vets will be there nearly every week, if not every. And if we have a local vet who wants to go and make sure they're okay, then I think it's a fantastic idea. Very Christmassy.
I was thinking, maybe, there's an animal charity, might have heard of it, called, Legal Animal Country. They do, livestock there, and I used to work with Legal. I'll, get in touch with them myself and ask them, will they, going to do something that, the event?
Well,
Michael.
this might be me being ignorant, but what do you actually do with the reindeers? You can't give them rides or anything like that. It's just, yeah.
It's just
I just wondered what you actually did with them. That's all. So
it's pretty much stroke and feed them, and there'll also be a hand washing station as well.
Apparently, after watching like the film with Tim Allen the transport, obviously. You know, rain days, do like hand games.
No, no, we're not gonna feed the reindeers anything inappropriate. So obviously we could always approach obviously Pets at Home. Obviously they've got on-site vets. Obviously Stanley House as well. Like if they be able to like send someone, obviously volunteer someone to come out on site. So obviously to check their welfare. So
We can see if they want to sponsor the reindeers.
if, wonderful. So could we have a vote, all those in favour of having reindeer this year? I think that's a resounding yes. So the one thing I did was if we could get a bit more Christmas decorations, you know, like around Hartley Square, a bit more illuminations, you know, like on the walls of like the shops, you know, above like the balcony things. Is that something we're able to do?
I'll let you ask FES because they're not cheap.
Yeah, I imagine obviously the price is obviously gonna be
It was discussed during budget setting about possibly upgrading the festive lights. Which now the budget's been set, I don't think it would be possible because they're not cheap. You don't just get them from like Home Bargains. They're professional
Yeah.
illumination displays. So I think we'd struggle with working on. The budget
yeah, because
itself.
obviously we've got to bring up obviously the issue of obviously the new tree and
But we should have a new tree by then. So it should be
yeah, well, hopefully we've got a decision. To be fair, I prefer obviously the real tree option, obviously for sustainability. Obviously the one that got put forward. Obviously,
Thank you, Chair. If I remember rightly, at the previous meeting, when the tree was discussed, though it seems a good idea in theory to have a permanent Christmas tree, in practice it wouldn't be all that good, as you're replacing an existing tree with a tree that's not, if you want, indigenous. Also, I believe that Barnfield Construction have said they would be happy at their expense erecting the tree and decorating it, etc. So that's pretty good. So I think, you know, the tree issue shouldn't be a problem because obviously we'll be doing it, not COVID. So it'll be done professionally. It'll be done perfectly.
Right, so thank you very much for that one. And on to obviously event security now. This is to consider whether we would like to investigate alternative options to the event security. I mean, I think the company that we have now, personally, I think they've done an exceptional job. I don't think anyone's really had any issues with them. I just wanted to open up, see if anyone else has got any like suggestions. Nathan?
So this has come from a couple of comments we made to the town clerk. I know that Councillor Ward wasn't too happy with the security team that we had at the fan zone, and I know that there was a couple of concerns from the police and licensing regarding the security at the Blues Festival. So it was just to see whether the events committee would like to send a recommendation to FES to explore other providers, other options. We have had a couple of interests from other companies that have worked in the area. So it's more just see what the events committee want to do, whether they want to leave it as it is or obviously recommend to FES looking at a different provider for the contract.
We had an event at the Millennium Green in the summer, the Reggae Sunsplash event, and the company there was spot on, absolutely very professional. So I can't remember their names, but they were connected with licensing from Nelson. So it's something that perhaps we can consider. I'll get you the name of the company. I think actually you probably know it. Yeah.
What were they like price wise, Alice? Are they reasonable?
Well, they were very reasonable for 12 hours, and the council paid for them. We got a grant from the town council for them. I don't want to
Yeah, obviously we can't really obviously don't want to put you never know who's listening. You know, undercut people and Councillor Robinson.
Thank you, Chair. There have been a few issues with the security companies been using over the last year or so, and I think the Blues highlighted it, where I noticed that, yeah, we had all this security, groups of maybe 4 around the town hall just stood there talking, groups stood outside, and a little bit, they weren't actually walking up and down and looking for the problems like you mentioned, bottlenecks. I was dealing with a few of them myself. I never saw any security. And surely the security should be the ones that's walking up and down. If they see a bottleneck, deal with it. You know, and as you said, as we said, most of the time, stood around various stores, etc., drinking brews and talking to each other. The security that you used down at Sunshine, they were fantastic. I think, you know,
I could not vote.
no, but otherwise, I think we've had too many problems in the past. Maybe niggling ones, but I think we should look at another company.
Sure. Yeah, I had a bit of an issue with one of the security at the exchange last year. A lady who had disability problems wanted to go into the exchange, and because she didn't have a band on, all she wanted to do was go and use the toilet. Her husband had gone in because he'd got the wristband. Because she couldn't find her wristband, they'd gone up, and she couldn't, because she was on sticks, she couldn't move her sleeve up. He wouldn't let her in, and she nearly had an accident. Also, further down, I think down by River Street, there was a couple of people who were trying to ascertain where certain things were going on. They asked these two guys, who were obviously skizzed, "What are you asking us for? We don't know." Luckily enough, I happened to be a pastor. I still had my high vis on. Approached these people. Said, "What do you need?" Said, "Oh, we're looking for the Hippodrome." I said, "Oh, you just need to go further up there by the town hall, turn left, and it's there." I said, "Oh, thank you very much." And are you? She said, "Are you?" I said, "I'm one of the town councillors, and I'm just out helping out today." I said, "Oh well, at least we got somewhere with somebody who knows what they're doing." It's a poor do when our own security can't help a couple of strangers to go to one of the events that they wanted to go and see.
Thank you. So it seems consensus is amongst councils, obviously, to recommend to FES to consider alternative options, and obviously it might actually be beneficial financially as well for us if we were to get more quotes for better.
Do we have a proposer?
And a second, Patricia, I'll take Patricia, and second Ian. Thank you very much for that one. Does anyone have any items they'd like to bring up for March's agenda at all?
So I have got
sorry.
procession for the Christmas light switch on and the Colne Community Champion Awards.
Yeah, that's fine. Ian?
Thank you, Chair. I've brought it up many times in the past. I'm going to keep on bringing it up. And I know we can't do an actual event, but I think for this year, St. George's Day, we need to try and promote it somehow, maybe linking it to schools and shops and promote, because otherwise I think it's disgusting when this country cannot celebrate its own patron saint. We celebrate everybody else's patron saint, and it's getting to a point where you don't even say you're English and you're proud of St. George because you get called every name under the sun. We need to promote it. This is England, this is our patron saint. Let's be proud of St. George instead of hiding.
Yeah, no, obviously we can't. Obviously, there's no money in the budget for like an individual event, and obviously, if the market done say by April, I doubt it. They could have obviously put up a mini display say outside the market in future years. Obviously, right to local business, ask them to decorate. Obviously, it's not coming out. It won't come out of obviously our budget, obviously for that. Nathan, have you got?
We have got downstairs the flags that we used for no, we got flags for D-Day last year, and the poles we can actually change to the St George's flag. So then we could put those up on the tree brackets throughout the town centre to obviously celebrate it. It probably would cost us maybe £100–200 for the replacement flags, but then we've got them and they can be reused every year, and that way it'll keep Councillor Robinson happy.
Yeah.
Could we also, would I ask that we try and, I know we find the Royal Standard. Union flag. But on that day, would it be possible?
It's always fun. If you look at the top of the building, it's St George's flag at the minute.
Yeah, I see it every day when I come out of my house. But I'm thinking, because I say it is important
of
that we
course
do celebrate our patron saint. Yeah, exactly. Every we celebrate everybody's. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm surprised we're not celebrating Mongolia's patron saint. But when it comes to our patron saint, no, we should stand up with pride.
Well, thank you very much for that, and thank you very much for attending. The next meeting will be on Tuesday, the 11th of March.